Hello, my name is Kathleen Wallace. I just finished my first year at the University of Scranton in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Last year, I was one of the competitors in the 2019 Rotary Four-Way Test Speech Competition, and I have been asked to make a presentation giving some tips and advice for how to prepare for a four-way test speech competition. So let's begin. First, how to pick a topic. The main thing is you should pick something you are passionate about. If you can't talk about your topic on end to anyone at any time for any reason, then don't talk about it in your Rotary Four-Way Test speech. This should be something that you care a lot about and you want other people to care a lot about. And if you don't care about it, nobody else will. So make sure the topic you pick is something that you are passionate about. You can use material that you have already studied, written about, or presented on. I know last year for my Rotary Four-Way speech, I presented on felon disenfranchisement, and that was a topic that I had been studying for my senior thesis research project. And I had been studying this topic for months, and I took basically a 20-page research paper and I turned that into a 6-minute speech when I applied the Rotary Four-Way Test questions onto the topic I had already studied. So don't be afraid to take material that you already are familiar with and kind of repurpose it for this speech competition. Now, on the same token, don't feel like you need to be an expert in the topic or feel like you have to have researched the topic for months. As long as you are passionate about the topic and you have done the necessary research to present a 6-minute, compelling, interesting speech, you're going to be great. So the main thing, if you're passionate about your topic, then go for it. Next, how to apply the four-way test to your topic. So know what you want to say about your topic and use the four-way test as an organizing structure. If you know what you want your audience to walk away with new information or a new understanding or a new perspective, you want to take the information that you want the audience to know and then use the four-way test as a way to present that information in a clear way, in an orderly way. So what I did was use the four-way test as an organizing structure as opposed to necessarily the driving force behind the content of my speech. Instead, I took the content and I just organized it using the four-way test. Now, that's not the only way to go about this, but that was the way that worked for me. Next, be creative. Be creative in the way that you interpret the four-way test questions. Be creative in the way that you apply those questions to your topic. Be creative in the way that you organize those questions. I know I went out of order for those 4 questions, and I went in a different order that made more sense for presenting the ideas I wanted to present. So be creative in the way that you present your material. And be clear. Be clear in how you structure your speech. So if you've taken a look at the sample scoring sheet for the judges, you'll notice that you do get graded on how well you interact with each question. If the judges don't know what question you're on when you're presenting your speech, you're not going to get good points for those sections. So it should be exceedingly clear to the judges what question you're answering when you're answering it. It also should be clear to the judges how you're progressing through your speech and progressing through your ideas, especially if you're changing up the order of anything. Make sure you say that up front and give the judges a clear roadmap of where this speech is going. Next, how to write and organize your speech. Don't try to fit too much information into too short a time period. I don't know if they've changed the time limits at all because of this virtual online format, but I know for us, we had a limit of 6 minutes maximum for our speech. And I know when I initially wrote my Rotary speech, it was packing way too much information into 6 minutes. And I had to really pare that speech down for it to be competition ready. Don't try to jam too much information about your topic that your audience walks away not even understanding any of your topic because there was just too much information to process. Pick the important details, use only things that are especially important for conveying the idea that you want to explore. Don't overload your audience with too much information. Next, organizing your speech and how you want to go about writing it. You can outline, you can write out a whole speech like you're going to read it off. Just think about whatever medium is easiest for you to memorize, because in the end, you're not looking down at a sheet of paper with notes on it. You're presenting a memorized speech. So, however you best memorize is the way to best write down and present your information and your ideas for yourself is the way to go. Speaking of memorization, how to memorize your speech. Well, first of all, make sure you have your speech memorized. Now, in the sample scoring sheet, you'll notice that it says it's permissible to have some note cards and to be looking at them. I would say don't. Those note cards can be distracting for your audience. It can be distracting for you, and it can become kind of a crutch for you. And when you use note cards, you aren't necessarily exhibiting that you have the best grasp and understanding of your content and that you are in control of presenting your content. I know that in the first stages of the competition last year, there were a few people who had note cards when they presented. By the last stage of the competition, none of us had note cards. And I think that really shows that if you have a great grasp of your material, you won't need those notes and you'll present better if you don't have notes in front of you because you're free without notes to do more gestures, to be more interactive with your audience, and just to show that you know your topic without even looking down at notes. So now that you know that you have to have your speech memorized, let's talk about how you should go about doing that. The structure of the four-way test makes it easy for you to organize your thoughts and have a clear roadmap in your head. Use those questions as a way to organize yourself as you're memorizing. So if you know that you've gone through the first question, you move to the second one. It's a way to help you memorize in chunks and a way to, as you're presenting, realize the direction you're going and not get lost. So use that structure to help you. Knowing your content and the order of your ideas, the order of that four-way test is far more important than rattling off the correct words in the correct order. What you wrote down on a piece of paper or in a Word document is not necessarily what you're going to say in the moment when the time comes. What's important is that you convey the ideas you want to convey and you convey them clearly, not that you say every single correct word that you had written ahead of time. Related to that, as you're memorizing, make changes. If you are memorizing and you realize the way that you would phrase something isn't the best way to put it, make changes and make your speech better. Use the memorization process as an editing process as well. Finally, gestures not only make your presentation better, but they help you when you're memorizing. If you use gestures that you're going to be using in your presentation, when you begin to memorize your speech, you'll associate that movement with the words that you're saying, and it'll be easier to recall the words and the gestures you want to make if you're practicing with them from the very beginning. How to present your speech. I want to first focus on mindset. I know for me, I focused more on my passion for the topic instead of winning the competition. I came into each speech knowing that I wanted the judges to walk away seeing how passionate I was about the topic, and I wanted them to walk away passionate about the topic with new information on the topic and even a new perspective that they might not have had before I spoke. I cared far more about changing the judges' perspectives on my issue than winning the competition or being technically correct in the way I presented. I think being passionate about your topic and passionate about persuading others will make you present better than if you're focused on winning the competition. So care about what you're saying instead of being the best at saying it. Next, be expressive in your tone and in your volume. Make sure you're modulating how loud you're speaking or how soft based on the content that you're saying, and be expressive in the way that you say the information that you're trying to convey. Furthermore, be deliberate in your gestures. Make sure that your gestures match the content that you're saying, and make sure that they emphasize the particular things that you want emphasized. Being expressive and using gestures is especially important for you guys in your virtual format. I know that last year, one key aspect of my presentation was being able to make eye contact with particular people all throughout the audience, and also being able to step towards the audience and interact with them specifically as I was presenting. You don't have that opportunity when you're on a video screen. Yes, you need to be making eye contact with the camera, but it is all the more important to be incredibly expressive and to be using those gestures because you don't have as much opportunity to make eye contact with the audience or to move around the stage at will because you're presenting to a camera. So be expressive and be deliberate in your gestures. Next, get feedback from someone. I know that when I was preparing for the Rotary speech last year, I got feedback from my classes, I got classmates, and from my teacher. And that feedback was important for me to present my ideas in a more clear format and to have a better presence when I was presenting. Because you aren't with your teachers or classmates right now, find someone that will give you feedback and ask them questions. Was I clear? Was I ever too fast or too slow or too loud or too quiet? Was there ever something that I didn't explain enough? Was I persuasive? Did I ever lose your interest? Was there anything I could have done to make this presentation better? And then take that feedback and incorporate it into your final video and your final presentation. Next, once you get feedback from someone else, make sure you're kind of giving yourself feedback by practicing in front of a mirror. It seems weird when you do it for the first time, but practicing in front of a mirror really helps you to notice your facial expressions and notice your gestures, notice your posture and the way that you're presenting, and it'll really help you hone your presentation. Finally, just be confident and have fun. When you're having fun presenting, you're going to present really well and you're going to have an audience that's enthusiastic about what you have to say. So enjoy this process, enjoy presenting in your speeches. And good luck, guys. You're going to do amazing, I'm sure of it. And I wish you all the best. And I hope that this is a fun and interesting experience for all of you to take part in. So good luck. Do great things.